can get pretty messy, but this is where like being inventive in draft, and if you know the meta better than the opponents, then you can just literally win the game through draft. So typically half the maps are very rock paper scissors, like I said. There's a lot, you know, tanks are good, anti-tanks are good, throwers are good, snipers can be good if the map's opened up, support brawlers can be good paired with tanks, you know, there's so much to consider. Literally, you can win the draft so easily. So you can draft early a thrower that's good into everything. You know, there's some maps like Pinball Dreams. There's always going to be a map in a rotation that has really like defined lanes, so throwers can dominate, you know, field goal in the past, penalty kick, for example. So typically early on in the draft, people like to go throwers that are good into everything. So Larry, Willow, Barley, there's a few brawlers like that, Juju, which can defend himself against tanks and are just really toxic down the lane, so those are drafted early. You can try and get a good dominant thrower late pick as well, so if you have last pick and you're on like, again, field goal, well, it's not rotation right now, Pinball Dreams, etc., then you can go a late pick thrower like Dynamite, Barley, Sprout, etc. Last pick is also very good for tanks and assassins as always, but particularly in Brawl Ball because a lot of these maps have grass, a lot of these maps have walls, so those assassins and tanks can just abuse this fact and just run all over people. And then of course on bushy maps you've got to have at least a couple of anti-tanks or something aggressive yourself. So again, you're more than likely going to face off against a tank. If you're dumb enough to go, I don't know, like Dynamite on sneaky fields and then like a Gus, you're obviously just going to get completely ran through by a couple of tanks or a couple of big HP brawlers like Nita, for example. So you've got to bear that in mind in your draft. And then also most maps you will have a mid-range brawler with decent range. So again, you have these kind of mid-range brawlers, I don't know, like Lou, Otis or something like that. They're just kind of good into everything, you know, Amber, Griff, so you're not going to get exposed in the draft. So now I have knockouts. Knockout is very similar to Bounty, of course, with the longer range brawlers and the throwers, but the thing about knockout as well is that survivability is pretty key, because as the gas closes in, there's a certain few brawlers that are just really good once, again, the gas closes in, you're in that high intense situation, and they just have more HP than some certain brawlers. Of course, once the map closes down, Piper's not going to be as good, etc. So you want to make sure that you're probably having one thrower. Pretty much on all of these maps, a thrower is essential. So that's going to be like your Ticks, your Sprout, your Larrys, you know, Barley can be good later on, those types of brawlers. And then again, you want to make sure that you got that sniper, so that whether that be like a Gus, whether it be RT, which is pretty good against most things, whether that be Piper, there's a lot of options there. And then you want a brawler that's pretty good at the end game. So genuinely, it's going to be like high HP brawlers.